Hello and welcome to another episode of the Silver and Black Coffee Hour. That's Aaron. That's Zach. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I have a dry cough, but other than that, I'm good.
Can you explain why?
No.
I have a more mucus forward something going on. Sorry if the audio listeners and visual viewers are seeing and hearing that. It's sniffle time. It's winter, man. It's the dog days. It's the dog days of winter. People say that, right? People say that in the NBA.
They're saying it's the dog days in the NBA.
That's for damn sure. It's the dog days for the Spurs. It's dog days for a lot of teams. Zach Montana, how are you getting through the dog days?
I'm not sick. Unlike y'all two, so I feel great. There's no complaints on mine.
I'm not sick though.
Well, you got a dry cough, so we
Nobody's
It's
sick.
coughing up. Yeah.
Everybody's just blah. Everybody's just blah.
Well, I'm not blah. I'm great. So life can be. Life is fantastic on my end.
You guys deal with it.
You guys deal with the B-L-E-H. I'm great on my end.
Well,
Blah.
blah.
I was like B-L-E-H. Bleh. I thought there'd be a G-H in there, but
I'll spell it my own way.
Blur.
bleh.
Blah.
Blah.
Anyway.
I mean, blah is a good way to talk about this Spurs stretch. I'm Tom Petrini, by the way. Hello.
Yeah, don't forget to introduce yourself.
Yes.
The Spurs' three-point shooting in particular has been
Bleh.
Blah.
Yeah.
Super duper blah. Over the last 8 games since the Oklahoma City Thunder wins, I think they're shooting like 25% from 3 on like pretty high volume still. So we'll talk about all of that on this show. It's been an interesting week in Spurs basketball, I think. We saw Jeremy Sochan get some minutes. What's that about? Is he getting his place back?
We'll discuss.
We'll see. We'll see and we'll talk. Carter Bryant sent to the Austin Spurs. We were all there
Went to the
check
game.
him out, talk to him. Bright, talented young man.
I love G League basketball games. Just gotta get it out there. So much fun to watch.
It's so much fun.
Well, he's also the most soft-spoken dude. I didn't realize that.
He is whisper quiet. Very humble. Very very happy when I asked him about Keldon Johnson.
Oh no, he's not humble. He said he wants to be the best player in the world.
Wants to be is not I am the best. He's on a team with the guy who's like, yeah, those guys are good. When I get back on the court, it's going to be me who's the best.
I kind of I love that mentality from him, though.
Yeah.
When I was like, I want to be the best player in the world. I'm like, Wemby's on your team.
Right.
You got some competition, buddy.
But, hey, iron sharpens iron.
I mean, I want everybody who plays for any team that I am rooting for to have that mentality. Right?
Or to be the best player in the world.
Or to just be, right. Having the mentality is great. Actually doing it,
Yeah.
awesome. And we've seen some, world beater stuff from Wemby, especially last night in the win over the Celtics. That was a ton of fun to watch. Last time we spoke to the good people of the internet was after that Knicks win. Julian Champagny, hello. And then they went on to play the Pacers with no Victor Wembanyama. And it was a kind of ugly game. These ones from a week ago we'll go through kind of quickly because they were a week ago. But I think it is worth noting that, this was ugly. Another ugly shooting variance game for the Spurs in this one. 40% for Indiana and 28% for San Antonio. But got through.
It got worse throughout the week, Tom. There was a 16%er on there.
It got way worse throughout the week.
But gotta win.
Gotta win.
What about the Blazers game? Let's.
The Blazers game, so Indiana, they won 65 points from the backcourt. Everybody else, whatever. The Blazers, we thought it was a bad loss at the time. The Blazers have won 7 of 8. The 7 of the last 8, they beat some pretty good teams. I'll just make it super easy. Interesting stat of the night, they lost. They started out extremely slow. That was the issue of the game. They started out horribly in the first quarter and tried to catch back up and couldn't. Luke Cornett, 23 points. That was a great performance from him, 10 for 12 from the floor. That's all you're going to get from that Blazers game. We're going to move on.
It was not great. And then we went to Crash Out Game of the Week,
Oh, yeah.
currently sponsored by nobody. But if you'd like to sponsor the Crash Out Game of the Week, holler at us.
If you're
Silver
like
and
an
Black
auto
Coffee Hour.
body repair shop, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
You know, that would be.
What's the alternative though?
We'll get there another time. I don't know. I haven't got there yet. Plenty of sponsorship opportunities
Yes.
for the Silver and Black Coffee Hour. So, Crash Out Game of the Week. Wemby comes back in this game. Everybody's very excited. But like most things, when Wemby comes back, he's on a minutes restriction. And he had technically already gone a minute over. And the Grizzlies ended up taking the dub, 106 to 105 in this one on a Cam Spencer go-ahead Udonis Haslem area of the court.
Been a while.
Shot over Luke Cornett. And look, I felt like maybe this is somewhat of a wake-up call, but we'll see one thing for sure with this team and from this game to the next two, playing great defense, especially when you think about what the NBA average is of it. So, Crash Out Game of the Week, and then we go to the Lakers game.
Can we just quickly with the Grizzlies, because this was a close game, right? And I think it was a big point of conversation that Wemby was on the bench for the final few minutes of this game.
325.
And, you know, Spurs kind of saw it slip away. And it was a great performance from Wemby. It was a night where he was kind of going bananas for every minute that he was on the floor.
This is when the kick happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, pregame, crane style, Karate Kid, ninja kick of basketballs out of a basketball hoop. You know, kind of wild to do it after like trying to get back on the court so bad with a hyperextended knee, but yeah. And so, you know, a lot of people talking about like kind of a waste of a great Wemby performance and would love to have him out there down the stretch. And we got some of that in these last two games, which are...
I think Mitch Johnson maybe didn't hear... I mean, I think he understood the assignment, too, in the next two. So, who's got Lakers game?
I mean, I can talk about this one. This was... I mean, both of these teams were tired, second night of a back-to-back, and they were playing second game of back-to-back hoops. In this game, the shooting was kind of rough from all over. The defense on Luka Doncic, it was another one of those Luka games. Luka leads the league in these games where you watch him all night, and you're like, man, Spurs had a plan. They stuck to it. They guarded him pretty well, all things considered. And then you look up, and he's got 38 and 9 and 9 or whatever it was. But they made him work for all of it. And, sort of the beauty of the Spurs that we saw in this game is that it's not a one-man band in San Antonio. You kind of never know who it's going to be, but you know it's going to be somebody. On this night, it was Keldon Johnson. It was fantastic, and he's been fantastic all year. He's a Sixth Man of the Year candidate, and I think he embodies that. But, you did the job on Luka. None of the other Lakers came along for the ride. And you gutted out a win in a game where you shot 16% from three.
Who was the leading thrpoint
It was
maker?
Jeremy. Jeremy had two
It was
threes.
Jeremy Sochan, wasn't it?
Jeremy
Two threes.
Sochan went 2 of 2. Perfect. And Keldon Johnson had a pair as well. And no other Spur.
So two
hit a
players
three.
made threes the whole game. That was it.
That was it.
That's like 1980s basketball.
Helps when the Lakers shoot 23%, but this is one of, and this is a game where the Spurs didn't just it's not like they just eked out a win. They won by 15 points.
They really took over in the fourth. That was when it was like, okay, enough with this.
Yeah, and again another really fun Wemby game, but yeah, second game in a row that Jeremy Sochan gets minutes, and we have to say, those threes, by the way, Jeremy had a three that could have given the Spurs the lead in the Grizzlies game.
Yep.
He was open, he shot it again, and he hit those shots. Those were his first makes since mid-November. And The trolling, like he was trolling in the
Oh,
Memphis game.
we'll talk more about Jeremy Sochan. Let's just get
Cool.
through the games first. We
Yeah.
have of course we're going to talk about it. It's a big deal for him to be entering the rotation again like this.
But I also loved in the Lakers game the poke in the face from Vando.
Don't worry, mate. We'll get there. Energy.
Aaron has one of the best Jeremys, and I guess we'll get there. But it's a really good Jeremy impression. And the Spurs carried that energy into the Celtics game.
Yeah, they carried the energy into the Celtics game with bad 3-point shooting, but very stingy as hell defense, and so stingy that Jaylen Brown also had his crash out of the week after the game.
Should have sponsored him too.
Yeah, man,
Just give me the money, man.
Yeah,
Next
it's all-
time,
yeah.
You can vent to me about how the refs didn't give you any
Jaylen
calls.
Brown is doing plenty fine with his Oakley sponsorship. He
Got
was
money.
very much showing that off yesterday. Yeah, this was a game where so many times in previous years we have seen the Spurs be on the other side of where the Celtics are, where they played well most of the game and the Spurs just kept fighting back. And it was one of these things, like I was a little frustrated because I was like, man, you guys are within 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. And up until the fourth quarter, they just could never regain the lead. And we've seen the Spurs do this before in the past and then have the exact same thing happen to them where gave up the lead in the end. It was too much. And in this one, Mitch really managed Wemby's minutes great in this one. He played down the stretch. He hit the go-ahead bucket. Looks like he's doing this little side run to the free throw line, and no one's going to take it. Celtics, it's really interesting. They are one of the highest for defensive rim protection in the league. I think they're number one. But they only roll out one big in Keita. And so last night it was kind of interesting. Like Jordan Walsh was all up in Wemby's jersey. And then that Scheinmeyer guy.
From Creighton.
Baylor Shireman.
From Creighton. From Creighton,
That's
yeah.
right. That's his name. And it was kind of one of those things where as I was watching it, I was like, man, they're like really frustrating him. They can get away with a bit there. And then when they put Keita on Wemby, I was like, oh, he's going to cook him. This was kind of an interesting thing where those guys just at their height had like a little more leverage towards Wemby's hips and getting him off balance. And further interesting in this one, I thought, French Vanilla to close out the game where the Spurs are going up against a much smaller team that was getting some offensive rebounds. And I feel like Mitch Johnson was just like, Cornette, Wemby, no one gets the ball. Further interesting stat from this game. Our boy Julian Champagnie, pop that Champagnie. He had a very Luke Cornette-esque stat line last night where he actually had more rebounds than points. 13 rebounds to 12 points, and a very ethical win with no one scoring over 25 for the Spurs. De'Aaron Fox finally showing some life earlier in the games, which I was really happy to see with that type of aggression. He faded. I don't think he faded, but like kind of handed off to Wemby to close things out. But it was I like the pacing of that. Do you guys have? I mean, we didn't even get to do a preview of this game because of schedules and everything. But
I think that third quarter from Wemby was probably my favorite quarter I think I've seen from him in quite some time. And even Joe Mazzulla came out. I was watching the game. I was like, man, Wemby is. You mentioned that the first half he was having trouble trying to figure out how they were playing him. And that third quarter he came out, hit a few jumpers. He had an easy layup where he went right over Walsh, where it was like offhand, and that happened, and Wemby just kind of calmed down. And I think the Celtics kind of realized, okay, we're in trouble here because he's figuring this out. Joe Mazzulla came out after the game and said that third quarter really tested what they were trying to do to Wemby. And it really broke in the fourth quarter when Wemby blocked Jaylen Brown, goes running down full court, dunks it, hits two fadeaways. I think we always talk about getting to spots. He didn't know his spots the last 2 years. He's just free playing. Those edges of the paint where he can get to the elbows, it's in his head. It's like there's a cone there. I'm getting to that spot. I'm going up. No one's stopping it. It happened both times on both sides of the lane. Didn't matter who was on him. He figured it out. That third quarter was fantastic from him.
It was, I think, the Celtics are the team that has. I mean, they've caught the Spurs at the tail end of this really rough stretch shooting the ball. They were packing the paint, right?
Big time.
You watch those clips of Wemby hitting those elbow jumpers in the last 90 seconds of the game, and there are 5 Celtics that can touch him or the paint, right? There was, complete collapse defensively, and the Celtics also understand the value of the 3-point shot. So what we saw in that Celtics game was, De'Aaron Fox, who also had 21, reached the 12,000 point mark of his career. Congratulations, De'Aaron Fox. Paul Garcia, shout out Paul Garcia, who tracks where all of the Spurs score all of their points from. De'Aaron Fox had a season high for mid-range points in this game.
Yeah, he was working that mid-range really well.
Because that's the only soft spot in that defense, right? And so in the guts of the game, comes time to win it. It felt like Wemby, I wrote about this last night, and Mitch Johnson talked about it, because when Wemby comes in off that minutes restriction, it feels like he's trying to score 400 points all at once, right? And Mitch was basically talking about he gets sped up because he is so good and he wants to just, get right to it.
He's talked a lot about that, chasing that 6-point play.
Yeah.
And there were a few times again last night where they were doing it. Keldon, still kind of falls prey to this mentality as well. Wemby certainly does. And Stephon Castle last night, I know his 3-point shooting certainly wasn't there. And Joe Mazzulla was like, go on.
Right.
He was leaving him wide open and saying... It was kind of like the way that we defended Marcus Smart in that NBA Cup game, where it was just like, yeah, we'll just live with this. Marcus Smart scored like 24 points in
Caruso in the Thunder game.
Also thought it was extremely interesting. Start of the fourth quarter, brought in Kelly Olynyk and ran a play directly for Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
And made a big shot, made a big play, made some good effort plays down the stretch. And that was in light of taking out Steph Castle and putting him in there and putting some size.
He hadn't played the entire game.
No, and
Mitch
they ran him play right away.
What, 3 or 4 minutes maybe, and then just pulls him? Like, maybe it was just a kind of mentality of like, let's get this offense going a little bit more with, a bit of a vet. And they had decent defense on Jaylen Brown on the baseline last night as well. So
Got bloodied up a little bit, took a hit to the face. He lived it all out there in 4 minutes.
He truly did.
Can we talk for just a moment, because we've mentioned Jaylen.
Tom, we are talking for many moments. This is our podcast.
Right. I just want to make
based off of talking to
make
each
sure
other.
I have permission to keep talking.
No, bro, you gotta be quiet the rest of the time, big dog.
Okay. I couldn't do it. But so Jaylen Brown spoke after this game about, wasn't happy about.
Cried or spoke?
He
spoke.
He was not happy. He was upset. Zoran and Mitch Rachel, where, that gif. Anyway, he was not happy about the whistle in this one, and sure, over the course of an NBA game, there are going to be times where somebody pushes you and nobody blows a whistle and whatever. Celtics shot 4 free throws in this game, which does seem low. Seems low. I would be pretty mad if my team got 4 free throws. But I would also, if I watched the tape and saw that every time somebody drove, Wemby, who was standing, within arm's reach of the basket, would run at them and swipe down with the big, gigantic arm that he has. I'm convinced that if Wemby was sitting on this couch right now, he could reach, past the camera, right, with his back to the thing. He reaches down like that. Nobody wanted to drive more than 2 dribbles, and if they did, they got in the paint and they said, "Where is he?" And they knew that he was somewhere. And so they shut the paint off and allowed 40 points in the second half against a team that, the Celtics are fantastic. Everybody thought they were going to have a year like the Pacers are having, and they just said, no, we're going to be one of the best teams in the East again.
they're over the last 10 games, according to Kirk Goldsberry, the number one net offense in the league. So to hold them to 95 points was great. If you guys don't mind, we're going to transition now over to look. It's been kind of a weird week, so we're not going hyperbolic chamber.
No.
I don't think that. Frankly, it's not worth it right now. We'll get there again.
This is one for...
We'll be back.
One for not being too high or too low,
Right.
but being high.
Okay.
Anyway, come back. We got high praise. Welcome back to High Praise. This is a part of the show where, look, we are looking for the nuances, the trends of positivity, especially within a pretty volatile week for the San Antonio Spurs. And look, I think there's actually plenty of great trends here. I'm really excited about what you guys have, but do you guys mind if I go first on this
Knock
one?
yourself out, big dog.
Don't mind at all.
You can talk too, don't worry.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Look, over the last 3 games, 2-1 specifically, but I mean, look at this trend: 106 points allowed by the from the Grizzlies. In the Lakers game, 91 points. There was no LeBron. There was no Austin Reeves. People are still playing the game. I don't care. 91 points in today's NBA is low. And then last night against the Celtics, once again, the number one rated offense in the last 10 games, 95 points. This is a stellar trend. And further, if anybody's like, well, yeah, like, I mean, in the 90s, those were the points. In 2025, the average for an NBA game is 117 points. This is astronomical defense right now that we're seeing from these Spurs. And once again, Wemby is on a minutes restriction. He is not even playing half the game for most of these. So I just want to shout out to the defense, Mitch Johnson, Sean Sweeney, Corliss Williamson, Scott King. They're doing a great job. And I think sometimes in the heat of the game, we as fans are looking like, oh man, they made another shot, And then you got to look up at the end of the game and be like, wait, this is actually a very low score. So
In the moment, it feels like an avalanche.
totally.
And sometimes it is. Like, Jaylen Brown and Derek White last
Both
night.
those, in the first quarter, you had 2 ridiculous threes. You're just like, okay.
Over Wemby,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, okay, what do you do? And then you look up and they've not eclipsed 100
But then he
points.
goes 1 for 9 in the fourth quarter, and you kind of do your job.
Yeah. The other part of this too, I mean, just once again, league average is 117, and the Blazers this week scored the most points on the Spurs at 115. So they were still holding
Below.
them even below the average. I'm talking about this is middle of the road.
And the Blazers have won 7 of 8 games. They're not slouching either.
They're coming on in a lot of ways. Further, really interesting stat for y'all and Spurs fans as a whole who get really upset about rebounding. Spurs are leading the league right now in defensive rebounding percentage at 72.1%.
Do you think that goes to with how good the defense is playing because they're getting more defensive rebounds, causing more missed shots too?
Well, the defensive possession ends when you get the rebound.
that's
so,
right. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, especially I've brought up the last few weeks, like, oh, I think we need help with rebounding. I think we need, like, once again, like, I'm in the heat of the moment, and then I kind of zoom out and I'm like, oh, like, well, we give up some offensive rebounds.
Right.
We should not be giving up an offensive rebound to Cam Spencer. Like, that's
fair.
pretty inexcusable. All that being said, like, we're actually in a pretty great place on the defensive side, which is covering up for, well, I mean, some 3-point ineptitude,
Yes.
regardless. But I'll hand it off to you guys. Who do y'all have high praise for?
Well, Julian Champagnie came to the starting lineup with Devin Vassell being out. The Knicks game, we'll start at the Knicks game because I feel like that was a big game for him and it's kind of progressively gone. He hasn't shot the ball well since then, but his plus-minus numbers, I'll give you all a over-under since the Knicks game. Julian Champagnie, plus-minus combined. Over 50 or under 50?
Ooh.
Well, I guess the fact that you're asking it, I'm going to say
Yeah,
over.
just my test-taking brain says hammer the over.
Julian Champagnie is plus 62 since the New York Knicks game.
Ooh, damn.
And there have been games where
He hasn't shot poorly.
Like that Pacers game, I know Knicks fans were like box score watching and were heated.
Yes. So his shooting numbers haven't been great, defensively, he's been pretty awesome.
That Lakers game, his legs were gone. He started fronting threes off that pin down.
We've talked about how poor the shooting has been, and I think any Spurs fan can tell you this. But if we look at these performances, Julian Champagnie has stepped in his role and done what he's supposed to do. Last night, crucial block on Derek White down the stretch. Offensive rebound. Who comes flying in? Julian Champagnie. Plus 61, I get plus minus numbers or whatever, but there are some numbers on here. Like, for instance, the Memphis game, he is the only player in plus minus. He's plus 14 in the Memphis game.
I think he was one of two starters last night that was actually in the positive.
Exactly. He was the only, yes. So he was plus 14 last night. Everybody else in the negatives.
Led the team in defensive and rebounds last night, too.
So, I mean, you know the rule for plus minus, right? It doesn't count if it doesn't fit what you're talking about,
exactly.
but it does count
exactly.
if it does match what you're talking about. Hey, look,
we'll make the numbers work.
So
absolutely.
You bring up...
We bring up identifying positive trends.
Yes.
It's something that Mitch Johnson talked about last night, and it's something that he's been talking about this whole season, but really this whole stretch as things have been kind of tough. He was asked about Julian, and he said, quote, "I think Julian embodied what we're trying to do and what we've been fighting to do more consistent through this stretch in terms of just putting our energy into the right places and not allowing outcomes, results, or shots dictate that energy." No, he brings it every night, whether the shot's falling or not, and he makes his impact on the game.
Look, I love what Julian embodies. You know, undrafted, fights his ass off. Read a quote the other day saying that those nights when he didn't know his future, when he cried himself to sleep, and there are things that this guy fought for these opportunities, and he could tell he's out there on the court. And I love having people like Julian on this court because
Iron Man.
Yes, you know what you're gonna get. Shot's not falling. He's gonna give it to you anywhere else, so he can make it work for the team. So shout out to Julian. Keep fighting, big dog.
Speaking of energy and impact, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're wondering who I'm gonna start talking about right now,
Start barking.
You gotta be new here, man. And even if you're new here, you probably knew. It's Keldon Johnson. It's always Keldon Johnson, man. That's what anybody says when you walk into the interview room after a game. You hear somebody yelling or barking like a dog or playing Miley Cyrus real loud. Who is that doing that? You don't have to ask. It's Keldon Johnson. At no stage in his career have you had to ask, because it's always Keldon Johnson. From the moment he got here, Vegas Summer League, big body. It's impossible to give yourself a nickname and have it be cool. And he did that before he ever suited up, really, for the Spurs. People have been calling him big body for 6 years. He's never stopped doing what he does, right? The energy, yes. But, like, in terms of his shot profile, his shot diet, which obviously this year he's more efficient than he's ever been, right? He's shooting 69% inside the restricted area, where almost half of his attempts come from. Super duper nice. A third of his shots come from three. He's shooting 41%. He's always shot, that breakdown, pretty much. And he will tell you that this is his best year ever because they're winning, right?
Can I tell you a fun shooting stat I found out about Keldon Johnson last night?
You absolutely can.
All right. This last 8-game stretch, right? The three-point shooting has fallen off. He is leading the team right now in volume on three-point shot efficiency at 52.9%, according to NBA stats.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that when we get to three-point shooting too.
Yeah. But Jordan McLaughlin, shout out to you, Jordan. You also came in that third quarter and gave like a hell of an effort. He's at 100%, but that's why I say on volume.
There you go.
No, I mean,
he shot once, he made it. It was great.
All that matters.
Keldon's always been a streaky shooter. At this point, he's on a hot streak, right? But what is never streaky about Keldon Johnson is his effort, his energy level. This is a guy who has been the 15th guy on a Olympic gold medal team. He has been the top scorer on an NBA team. He's done everything in between. When we talked to Carter Bryant the other night, I mentioned Keldon, and as soon as I said his name, a big smile.
Same with
he
Harrison
lit up.
Ingram, man. Yeah, everybody loves him.
And Carter said, he sent me a text today when I was on my way up here.
No, he sent him a long text.
A long message.
Well, I mean, Carter Bryant is very young, so I don't know if that means 3 sentences or a novel,
yeah.
but...
Yeah, Unc sent me a paragraph. And by the way, Keldon, who is a veteran leader on this team, he's basically the age that Manu Ginobili was as a rookie. And he's done all of this at this point. So, a metronome, a guy who, in this stretch, where they've shot so badly, he's the metronome. He's probably the main reason, outside of Victor Wembanyama, that this team hasn't gone 1 of 7.
Oh, yeah.
Or 0 of 8 in this stretch, where they've been outscored by 3 points every single game.
He's massive.
No argument here, man. Yeah. Keldon, shout out to you forever and always. Amazing Spur. Next up, look, we do this every show. We talk about questions of the week, so let's jump into it.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
All right. Well, we have a lot of questions because it's been definitely one of the more interesting weeks in Spurs land. The most interesting thing, I think, that happened, please tell me if I'm wrong here, but after having what's been another volatile season for himself, Jeremy Sochan re-entered the rotation. Specifically, he re-entered the rotation in the Grizzlies game because that kind of turned into Mitch Johnson throwing anything against the wall and being like, find something here. And basically, he did a very Popovichian thing where he did a full-on hockey substitution with the starters in the beginning of that third quarter because I'm pretty sure he was like, energy sucks. I do think that this is probably where he jumped the gun too early with Wemby, and that maybe caused the end there, but brought in specifically Jordan McLaughlin and Jeremy Sochan. And Jeremy decided, I'll pick up Fool's 94 feet. We want to switch him in the back. Like, he came out ready to ball, and then he came out in the Lakers game ready to troll. And boy, howdy did he. Last night, Mitch Johnson, again, at the end of the half, brought him in for a very specific defensive possession, and he did a great job just making sure that Derek White had no room, didn't get fouled on a shot to come in. He has now since dyed his hair, I think, a magenta.
Yeah, it's not red.
Yeah, it's not red, it's not pink. And he had it on Instagram where he said he's sharing love to everyone and flipped off the camera. In classic Jeremy Sochan fashion, it's good energy. So
It's really good.
Jared Vanderbilt after the Lakers game got up in his grill, didn't punch him, but put his finger right up on his cheek.
It was forceful.
Do we know why? I know why.
Why do you think?
Because he kept saying hell no every time Jared shot the ball on the bench.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, they have a history.
Yeah,
That's the energy.
But the best part of it was after the game, Jeremy was asked about this, and he was like, yeah, he doesn't seem like a very happy person. He should probably go talk to someone about that. It's bad, it's bad energy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fantastic. He came out ready to troll in the Grizzlies game. The first thing he did was force an 8-second violation.
Yep.
Then he went for a 50-50 ball, right? And the Grizzlies were mad that it went the Spurs' way, and he was like, challenge it. Go ahead, challenge it. They did. They lost the challenge. It was perfect. And then a few minutes later, the Grizzlies are lining up for free throws, and in between free throws, he breaks up a high five attempt. He just walks in between the shooter and his teammate, the dyeing the hair, somewhere between magenta and fuchsia.
Did you see him trolling Luka too at the end of that game? Because I kind of scrolled back at the end of the Lakers game, like where did this happen? And there's a point where Luka's bringing the ball up and he's dribbling, and he goes like this. And Jeremy, as he's picking him up, just like goes immediately like this and then picks him up. And I was just like, God, it's hard to hate this guy, man.
Yeah.
He's so stand up. So, all that being said, we're very excited to see Jeremy Sochan re-enter the lineup. He didn't get as many minutes last night during the Celtics game. I feel like that's probably more of to his offense there. That was just kind of needed in that, but he still was getting, I think, either end of first quarter or second quarter minutes there.
And we saw him get minutes in all of these games when Steph Castle got in some foul trouble.
Yeah.
Because the Spurs need a guy who can go stick the other team's best player, and Jeremy Sochan is that.
So, question: is this real? Is he back in the rotation, or are the Spurs, showcasing him for a trade? Zach, what do you got?
I said last week I have my finger on the pulse of this team. I cannot read this at all. I don't know really how to look at this situation. I think you hit the nail on the head with the Memphis game was more or less throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Mitch was pissed off. It was a back-to-back. They needed bodies. The Lakers game, he did what he was supposed to do. Came out there, caused issues, and last night, the 4 minutes he's on the court, I think Mitch said, "You're playing great defense, but this team needs spacing." Lindy Waters was thrown in there. There was clearly a reasoning for behind what Mitch was doing, and it wasn't. It probably has nothing to do with Sohan specifically. Just the team itself needed space.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to kind of once again figure out what is going on here. I think Jeremy probably feels the same way, and I feel bad for him in that situation where you're kind of not really knowing what to expect, and you're the backup to the backup, and you're trying to figure out where you fit. I did like the energy I saw from him this week. He didn't sulk. He didn't seem like he was, scared of anything. There was confidence in a lot of the shots he took. You're confident if you're shooting a game-winning shot from the Memphis game. Hitting 2 good shots against the Lakers. Last night didn't really get much opportunity to shoot, but, I mean, he's out there fighting, and so I got to give him credit where credit's due. He could sulk all he wants, but he's not, and the energy's good in his mind, so if he wants to keep the energy up, the energy's good with the Spurs. You can't be the one sulking. You got to go out there and just play your part, and I think that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah. What do you got, Tom?
Jeremy, I think he's gotten to showcase his talents in the last few games. Whether that is for this coaching staff or for other coaching staffs, I think it's probably a little column A, a little column B. And I think that part of it is Mitch Johnson pressing buttons, and it's good for him to have a lot of different buttons to press, right? Jeremy Sochan is the 6'9" defense button. And in these last few games, we've seen how important the defense has been. He's been an important sort of safety valve on that end of the floor for Mitch Johnson. Mitch said you need a lot of guys, right? And Sohan is proving that he can be one of those guys, even if it's in a limited role. I'd love for him to be fantastic and hit all of his shots and play 30 minutes a game and be awesome in all of those 30 minutes. And, I want nothing less for Jeremy Sochan one day. But if that's not happening, and if he's got to scrape and claw for everything, he's gotten back on the floor because he's stayed ready. We go to these games and we see there's 2 guys on the Spurs roster that every single game they get on the stationary bike. It's Harrison Barnes because he's old as dirt, and it's Jeremy Sochan because he's just hoping that Mitch says, you know what, screw it. I need some defense right now. Jeremy, go give him what you got. And that's exactly what happened in that Memphis game. And, whatever happens for Jeremy Sochan, I think it's staying here. But whatever happens, I'm really proud of how he's handled himself and his perspective on the situation, and his ability to, again, control what he can control. He can't control if Mitch Johnson puts him in, but he can control how ready he is to meet that moment.
Yeah. There's a cynical side of me, especially being on the internet where, I hear showcasing him for a trade. I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of catharsis in the moment, because let's just zoom out again on this sort of thing. Jeremy Sochan will be a restricted free agent this year. So unless there is a staff right now that really believes in their development of him, that would be willing to part ways with some pieces on the fringes for them, I just don't see strategically why any team would leverage that right now. There's been a lot of chatter, especially with Knicks fans, wanting to have a Jeremy Sochan because apparently their defense is not great. But I don't personally see it. And one of the things that we kind of have brought up many times this season is like, it feels like the Spurs are like one piece away, and it's like the one piece, as we've talked about, could just be actualized Jeremy Sohan. The one piece could be actualized Carter Bryant. And when we're talking about this sort of thing, it's just not worth it, I think, to like make the trade. I think he's given good minutes. The shot especially looks quicker, much quicker release. After the Grizzlies game, still not afraid to like rip it from the corner. I like what I've seen out of him so far, so like that. Let's jump into the next question because, look, this is kind of the other big kind of interesting, glaring thing from the week. What is going on with the offense? What's wrong with it? And how do you fix it?
Can I start here because I think
Yep.
I think that Jeremy Sohan is a microcosm of what is happening with the Spurs overall. Where, I mean, literally, this guy had missed every three that he'd taken since mid-November. He was 0 for since mid-November. And he gets the ball in the corner and shoots a shot for the win, and it doesn't go, right? For the lead. And if that's how your first minutes in a little while ended, you might be a little gun shy in the next game. And the next time he caught it in the same spot, he let it fly. And that is exactly what Mitch Johnson has been talking about this whole cold stretch is, the shots aren't falling right now. That doesn't mean we can stop shooting them, right? That's how I play 2K. Listen, here's the book on me in that game. I'm not sweaty enough. I don't have the free time to get the jump shot down, right? I'm just going to run pick and roll and try to dunk on you every single time.
Just like me.
Right?
You guys don't know proper timing on jump shots
I
in
don't.
2K?
I don't.
The 2K26 is all jacked up. Don't waste your time.
I have not.
Wimby's
but
jump shot, it's like
anyway.
But I know that about myself, and so I don't even try them. I just try to dunk on you. If you're an NBA team and you play like that, it's not going to go well, right? Here's the cycle, right? You have to shoot, but you can't chuck it up without penetrating. But it's hard to penetrate when the other team doesn't respect your outside shot, so you got to keep shooting. But you can't just do it without penetrating, right?
Yes.
the circle of life.
The circle of life, yes.
So it was like, I love that this is happening in January because it is a test not of the Spurs' shooting ability, but of their mental fortitude, their ability to trust their teammates, trust their process, trust themselves to keep shooting those shots.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like someone commented after the game they're like, they got to fix this before the playoffs, and I'm like, the playoffs are in April. I was like,
We're not even in February.
I was just like, we're not even technically halfway, through the season. We're about to be, and you've seen across the league that are these lulls for everyone. It's one of the ways that like we're now, I think, a game and a half up in the second place for the West right now, which is great. But all that being said, to your point, Tom, there's a couple things besides just like dribble penetrating. We're just noticing that Devin Vassell is sorely missed right now. Not being able to make anything just off the dribble, be a little bit more of his own shot creator, is definitely having people pack the paint. To your point, though, the other thing that we haven't fully talked about is Harrison Barnes' shooting has really gone off. But I was looking at his shot chart last night, and he's not shooting from the corners as much as he once was. And part of that, I think there is some defensive scheme to that, but part of it too is the lack of penetrating, is the lack of having the paint. What typically happens is when you have these players like Champagnie and Barnes in the corners, you have those baseline defenders that are either ready to go out or collapse in the paint. And when there isn't any type of penetration from Fox, Castle, Harper, and both Castle and Harper are having their own troubles right now with getting to the rim, it is clunking up that space down there. And what we need to see is just drive through, get the foul, take the hit, or have those defenders collapse down so that Harrison Barnes and Julian Champagnie can get going from the corners again. Harrison right now, despite how bad his shooting has been, it's actually now just hitting like his typical career average at around 37%. We knew he was shooting kind of lights out, and it's funny when you see someone shooting 40%, you're like, well, that's like 100%. Shout out to you, Sean Elliott. But yeah, I'm with y'all. We need one Devin Vassell to come back. He's traveling with the team. I don't think he's going to be playing in this Minnesota game at least. But yeah, what do you got, Zach?
To you, the service level you hit it, and I think everything you said was completely correct. I want to get some numbers so people can understand the last 10 games of what our shooters are actually doing. Our last, we talked a few weeks ago about De'Aaron Fox shooting 40% from three, shooting 20% in the last 10 games. We talked about Julian Champagnie leading the team in three-point percentage, 34% in the last 3 games. Talked about Harrison Barnes, 40%, 26% the last 3 games or last 10 games. And then of course you mentioned Devin Vassell, and once again, Devin Vassell is a top 15 makes in three-point makes in this league. Devin Vassell is in that category. So to sit there and say that we don't miss him, we miss him a lot. So I think, and once again, they're getting good looks. There were good looks last night. It'd be one thing that they're chunking up horrible looks and you're like, oh man, no, they were getting good, efficient looks once they figured out how the Celtics were playing them on defense. It took them a little bit. They're in midway through the second quarter, started to figure it out. They're in the third quarter, they started to figure out the spots. And then, of course, they took it over there in the fourth quarter. But the shooting, it is a make or miss league, guys. And the fact they're missing and still winning is crazy. It's like one of those, like, oh my gosh, like that's fantastic. But also, at the end of the day, you're right. The playoffs aren't in January. But these moments help the Spurs understand how teams are scouting them. Because clearly this is a scouting thing where the Spurs are learning, oh, wow, they're doing these things differently. We got to counteract that. Yeah. And it's not going to be overnight. That's film. That's people in the back room figuring out what's the best way to go about these offenses and defense. Clearly the defense isn't an issue. If they can keep relying on the defensive end, then you're going to be okay. And there are going to be nights where you're going to miss shots, but you can rely on the defense, which they've done this past week. But then there'll be nights to be like beginning of the season where they can't miss, and you're scoring 120, 130. You're like, oh, this is great too. It's nice to be able to live in both worlds.
Absolutely. There's something that I told you guys about. I listened to this podcast. I think it's like the Big Numbers podcast. They had Dan Devine on. And one of the things they were talking about with it was this malaise after the NBA Cup, specifically for the semifinal teams. And basically, it's kind of just saying, like, we notice, you're seeing it with the Knicks, you're seeing it with the Thunder, seeing it a bit with the Magic as well. The Spurs, we had the NBA Cup, and then we had those OKC games. And I think everybody can say that those were emotional high points of the team. Mm-hmm. And so what their hypothesis was that the NBA Cup, with having stakes so high early in the season, then kind of creates this malaise for the next 10 games. And so teams that are typically on pace for 50-plus wins then regress in their numbers to that of like a 30 to 35 winning team. The Spurs right now, since that OKC Christmas game, they just completed their 8th game. They will actually have their 10th game since then against OKC next week. And so as we've been seeing this regression right now in the offense, I would expect there's going to be a rodeo road trip, there's going to be all-star break, there's going to be chances to get back, and then the end of the season schedule is very home cooking friendly. Mm-hmm. So right now, to everybody's point, I think we're saying grit it out. So look,
that's the whole point of dog days, though, is grit. Like it's not going to be beautiful every single game. It's 82 games. You got to be gritty.
I think that's what excites me about it is it's happening now. They're figuring out how to win these games without their shooting, and they'll be able to lean on that when the games actually matter and it's not January anymore.
Yep. Okay. Let's be a little quick on this. All right. Trae Young to the Wizards. It's officially Tom's favorite season of the year. Slop season. the piggies are out. They're getting in the mud.
Give me that slop.
They're getting on the trade machine, and they're like, how do I understand the current collective bargaining agreement?
Not well.
Look, no one does.
Nope.
So I don't think even people who work for the teams
Nope.
do. So, look, pretty plain and simple. Do you think the Spurs should be making a move? And if so, what type of player should they be targeting? Zach.
This is one of those weird ones, right? Second seed in the West, having shooting woes, trying to figure out, like, you're clearly a contender now. You're clearly, like, win now mode because you're second in the West. You kind of put yourself in the situation where you want to win. So it's like you can go two different directions, which is great to have, live on both sides of the world.
What?
Directions. What'd I say?
Not that.
Did I say something completely? Directions. Excuse my language if I misspoke. What'd I say?
Just keep going.
Directions.
Don't worry about
And so for me, I just think shooting would be fantastic if they can find a shooter for the right price. But once again, you're second in the West, so you shouldn't overcompensate and try to say, oh, we need to get to this point. They're clearly good enough to win. They beat great teams.
Yeah. What do you got, Tom?
I think this is the, outside of the game level, not letting makes or misses, wins or losses dictate your process. I think that the Spurs are even more committed to that on an organizational level, right? So while I do think that, part of the reason they got Kelly Olynyk was so that they could, potentially use his $13 million expiring contract come trade deadline time. If they can, go out and get a shooter who is also a plus defender who can, come in off the bench and help with this without giving up, any valuable picks, that would be great. But I also, like what's the market, right? Trey Murphy's going to be expensive. Michael Podcast Jr. is not coming here, I don't think.
Michael Podcast Jr.
The Spurs have a strict non-podcaster rule. That's why none of us can ever be San Antonio
be a Spur.
Spurs.
Damn. Shot ourselves in the foot, fellas.
So sorry about that, guys. But it's a hard and fast rule. So I don't think they're going to panic and say, oh, we got to give up draft picks now because we're ahead of schedule. We've seen how that has worked for teams who let those results dictate their process.
I just don't think they're going to, mess with the starting lineup and the chemistry of that currently, with the exception of putting Wemby back in it and getting rolling with that group. I also think the other thing we're talking about here, if we're looking for something on the fringes, is someone who's going to put up 7 to 10 points a game. And I think the Spurs can still probably think that they can find 7 to 10 points a game between Jeremy Sochan, Lindy Waters, Kelly Olynyk, and Carter Bryant. I hear you as well, Tom, with like the Kelly Olynyk, expiring, like that's interesting. But there's like maybe a very small handful of teams that are going to be starting their tank that maybe want to get cap room further into next year. Probably one of them, just off the top of my head, is going to be the Nets. I don't think Utah, because they're just kind of doing some interesting stuff over there. The people that we want on the Pelicans are not the ones that we want to be making deals with.
Utah's interesting to me because they have to get worse.
They looked horrible last night, don't worry.
But they have to continue to look horrible,
worst
otherwise they're going to
basketball
give
I've seen
the Thunder a pick.
Yeah, so it's an interesting spot though, is that like even the market with the teams that are going to be looking for, I think, offloading someone to like make sure that they have expiring money is going to be pretty low. And then also, what are the chances that we actually trade with someone that's in the Western Conference with like playoffs? So it's like,
Or like a future in their mind thing.
I just don't think that it's like really there. I think that they'd rather believe that like, let's write it out. Let's see what we have. Get punched in the mouth in the playoffs, so be it. Or you advance in the playoffs. Great. So go into that. With that being said, let's go into
A crazy
game previews. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to be sandwiched by some Timberwolves games. Look, this probably, this is either coming out during the Timberwolves game or the morning after. So Fellas, future prediction on what happened in the Minnesota Timberwolves game tonight.
Yeah, just
back to back for both teams.
listen to whichever one of these is correct. Wow, guys, the Spurs really turned things around from 3-point range in this game. 43%.
Wow.
Keldon Johnson on fire. Jeremy Sochan lifted Rudy Gobert up off the ground. Expect
Shoulder
some
pressed him.
fines. But yeah, really, really fun stuff. Good quality road win for the Spurs by 8 points.
I'm not gonna go that in depth. I'm gonna make a quick prediction. Spurs win by 4, and Minnesota missed every single 3 they took in the fourth quarter to reverse what happened last time. They made every 3 in the fourth quarter.
Wemby scores 40 in 27 minutes, blocks Anthony Edwards as he tries to put him on a poster, and Dylan Harper gets back and rolling while going at Rudy Gobert.
There we go.
I think the Spurs lose by 3.
Oh, don't throw that part in there.
Perfect.
All right, next game. We are going back to OKC.
That was nice.
Anyway, the Spurs returning to our now most hated rivals in the NBA in their home gym. They're sputtering, but are they?
They kind of stink right now.
They're still winning games.
Right. Copy paste everything that we've said about the Spurs for the last hour. Change, Control F, find Spurs, replace with Thunder, and there you go. It's dog days for all of these good teams. But the Thunder's shooting regression, like they were never constructed as a good shooting team. They're showing it now, and I think, they're facing bigger questions about like, okay, is this survivable for us on a roster construction level?
Money wise, yeah.
Right, maybe more so than the Spurs at this kind of younger stage in their development. So they got taken overtime by
The Jazz.
the Jazz. The Grizzlies were super close. Like teams that the
They
Spurs
had a
have
lot of
struggled
people
with,
sitting out in that Grizzlies game. Kind of looked into it a little bit more. So that's why I'm like they're sputtering. I think the big problem with this team is J-Dub's wrist. It still seems that's worse. The other thing that's been a problem for them is Isaiah Hardenstein being out, and he's dealing with a calf injury, so unsure right now if he'll be back for this game. But he's really been the skeleton key for unlocking their offense, as it's been kind of similar to the Rockets of having a focal point on getting offensive rebounds for him. But Wemby hates Chet.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, Spurs fans and Thunder fans that are watching this, just come here closer. Doesn't matter what happens this game. We got the season series.
That's literally what I was
going
to say.
all the time, this entire year. So I still hope and would like us to win, but at the end of the day, we're still going to win the season series.
Yeah.
Expect him, though, Mark Daigneault to do what the Celtics did last night and say, we'll just see if you can shoot threes.
Yeah, as I was going to say, are we doing this again? We already won the season series. Let's just chalk this up and get to the playoffs.
It would be nice, but it's still a good measuring stick.
Right.
I think that this game, as it comes to the end of the 10 games, right, since that we sort of expected this Spurs team to be in a bit of a fog, a bit of a dog days malaise, this is actually the snap out of it game, right? Whether they win or lose this game, I think it is going to be a good mental recalibration event for San Antonio.
Okay.
So looking forward to that part.
Speaking of mental recalibration, these two giants get up for each other. After
time.
this game, the Spurs will get back to San Antonio to go up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and whatever is left of this Bucks team. They play well when he's playing, and guess what? They do not play well when he's not playing.
Shocking.
Surprising. Also, the Bucks have a white boy that can torch us from 3 that has definitely been a problem for the Spurs this year.
Last year.
Yes, and AJ Green, he's shooting 40+% from 3 right now. Kyle Kuzma and Wemby, I think, are actually friends, surprisingly.
Yeah, they're boys.
But Giannis and Wemby, some of Wemby's best highlights have been against the Bucks.
You know, fuck it. Let's just do a 1v1, Wemby versus Giannis all night. Everybody else can just sit on the bench. First to 21, we'll call it a night. We'll say it, and that's what I want.
Well, look, the way the
Because I'll be there and I want to see it.
The way the Spurs have been playing defense right now, it's truly been like first to score 100 points challenge against them.
Yeah.
This game too, I would expect there to be some more French vanilla in this just to match up with Miles Turner and Giannis. But I don't know. This will be a fun one for sure. I think if there's like between OKC and this, like if there's looking for ways to like, what's a in-season motivation? This is one of them. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah, no, and Wemby has talked about like it's easy to get up for the games that are more meaningful, right? And the Bucks, as much as they kind of stink right now, he's always going to get up to play Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? So another emotionally charged game, another really get after it game. I'll be interested to see if they guard each other, especially on the heels of the OKC game where we've seen, Wemby and Chet, as much as there's a clear distaste, they're not really guarding each other, right? And so...
Wemby guards Giannis.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see that sort of more direct, kaiju on kaiju
Iron versus iron.
type of deal. I think that's going to be fun to watch. I don't think that the Bucks have the depth to, be a real serious challenge on most nights. But if the shooting continues where it is, then you're in a rock fight with a team that loves fighting with rocks. So
This is true. And then we'll end the week against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who will then be coming to San Antonio. And look, up until last night, the last 10-game stretch, the Wolves lost last night to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who put up 146 points on them. They were 7-3. They were actually the hottest team in the West. So it'll be interesting to see if they continue that trend. Rudy Gobert right now is on his Defensive Player of the Year campaign for a record, I think, 5th with them, which I think, once again, Wemby said a long time ago, I'm giving him this one,
Right.
and after this, it's over. So if Wemby really wants some time to send a message to Rudy Gobert and the greater French country of France, this is a good one to say, I'm truly the best player from this country.
What an awesome week. We're sitting here talking about it. You have the future face of the league, Anthony Edwards. Then you play the Thunder, who are the future team of the league. Then you play Giannis, who is the face of the league. Then you play Ant again back at home. This is such a fun week of basketball for the Spurs.
Zach, I love you, brother, but you are completely wrong.
What?
OKC is not the team of the league. The Spurs are the future team of the league. Anthony Edwards is not the future face of the league. It's Victor Wembanyama.
For a future American face of the league is obviously Ant.
I do not care about America. I care about this country.
No, I think this is a great week of basketball. Going from playing Utah and the Blazers, who aren't bad teams, to playing these teams in a week, you're like, oh, this is going to be fun. There's a bunch of get-up games. All 4 games are going to be fun to watch, so this is going to be a fun week of basketball.
Timberwolves scored over 130 points in their last 4 games.
They're the third most efficient team in the league right now in the last 5 games.
And a lot of people giving Chris Finch credit for ending Oklahoma City's reign of
Foul baiting.
terror in collusion with the officials. No, but the Timberwolves are a good team, and they didn't get off to the hottest start to the season, but they're definitely putting it together. And the Gobert-Wemby matchup is going to be interesting from the perspective of, I don't think Wemby has to prove that he's the best player from the country.
No.
He might want to show unequivocally that he's the best defender from the country. And Ant is the kind of guy who isn't going to back down from the challenge of seeing Victor Wembanyama in the paint. So we may see some fireworks and M80s and explosions there. But I'm also interested to see, because that's going to be a really fun Steph Castle matchup. Go out there and stick Ant Edwards. You know, so it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna
Fun
be
week.
Question: Devin Vassell come back this week?
Yeah, we should see him. I mean, they said he was rehabbing on the court yesterday.
Yep.
I think he'll be back for the Thunder game.
We go over 2v2, 3v3, 5v5. We wait
That's
for
right.
that.
Look for the code words. All right, fellas. Last thing before we get out of here today. Record for the week, Zach.
2-2.
You're going 2-2.
2-2.
What do you got, Tom?
I say
It's gonna be a fun week.
3-1. I think they split the Timberwolves games and beat the Thunder and beat the Bucks.
I am going to go 2-2 as well this week. I think the second half of the week is going to be really fun.
Yeah.
With that being said, it's the end of another episode. You guys?
No,
gotta
wait. I
say
had to
anything?
re-rate that. I had 3-1 because I predicted they were gonna win today.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm 2-2. Okay, I'm the negative Nancy.
I'm 3-1.
Wow, what a bad guy.
Well, what do you guys got to say before we roll out?
Much love. Appreciate y'all watching.
Yeah, be nice to everybody.
Probably should have said this at the beginning of the show, but like and
Yeah.
subscribe. If
yeah.
you've made
Oops.
it this far, we really appreciate it. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. Don't get too high, don't get too low in these dog days of the league, all right? And shout out to Zach for getting us these lovely silver
you,
and black
buddy. Merry
coffee hour
Christmas.
cups.
It's a delayed Christmas present, but as I said, Christmas never ends. If you don't want it to end,
Okay.
I can give you a Christmas present in July. It's for Christmas.
Lights up
Shout
in
out to
July.
Zach, Buddy
Yeah.
the Elf, Montana. With that being said, we'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.